1. Crew. Bo Barrett was my best friend, and where Daphne, the woman gazing at a framed photo, was concerned, my nemesis as well. I didn't need to see it to know whose image she studied. Based on her sad expression, it was of the man I wished was here, with us, just so I could bash his fucking face in. The two had been one of those on-again, off-again couples since they were teenagers. Every time they broke up, I hoped it would be long enough for me to have a chance with her. But honestly, if Daphne had been the slightest bit interested in me, she wouldn't have been turning to Bo again and again and again. "You gotta give it up, man," my oldest brother, Brix, whispered. "Bo will be back before you know it." "Not this time, bro." I led him from the living room, down the hallway, and into a bedroom, then shut the door behind us. Brix rested against the wall and smirked. "You keep telling yourself that. How long have you been crushing on Daphne Cullen? 10 years? More?" "Things are different now. Bo is with Samantha Marquez." Frankly, I was surprised he didn't know, given his wife Addie and Sam were best friends. Brix chuckled. "Not a chance. There's no way Sam would put up with his shit." His expression changed. "Wait. Do you know where Bo is?" Shortly after his mother's funeral, Bo had disappeared, and until I saw him in New York, I'd had no idea where he was either. Turned out he was with Sam. "I'm telling you, it's serious between them." Brix pushes himself away from the wall. "So where is he?" "Come on, don't ask me that. He's with Sam. That's all I can tell you right now." "What makes you think they're serious?" Brix shook his head. "No offense at all to Sam, but I just don't see her with Bo." I held up my phone so he could see the text I'd just received from our brother Salazar, who everyone called Snapper. "No shit. Bo proposed and Sam said yes? Damn, Daphne is gonna be butthurt." Brix was practically shouting when someone pushed the door open. When he moved out of the way, I came face to face with the woman whose name he'd just uttered. She spun around and raced off in the opposite direction, but not before I saw tears fill her eyes. "What the fuck, Brix? Butthurt?" The asshole was pushing 40 but sounded more like a 12-year-old. He grabbed my arm when I walked past him. "Let her go." I shook my head and pulled away from his grasp. "I can't." My brother stood in front of the door, blocking my exit, and put his hands on my shoulders. "This is going to sound corny as hell, but, crew, you're supposed to be the leading lady, not the best friend, and for some reason, you're acting like, the best friend." I took a step back from him. "What the fuck are you talking about, Brix? The leading lady?" "It's from a movie Addison and I watched last night. You get my point, though. You need to stop acting like the best friend so Daphne can see you as the leading lady. Man." I shook my head and looked out the window. As I could have predicted, Daphne was walking on the beach, alone. Even from here I knew she was crying. Brix approached and stood next to me. "If you go out there now, she'll cry on your shoulder. You'll console her, and it'll just be another conversation about her and Bo. The next time you talk to her, it needs to change. No more her and Bo. Make it about her and you. Like it's that easy. Take it from me. It is if you want it bad enough." He turned to look at me. "You've loved her for as long as Bo has, and actually, I'm not sure he ever felt as strongly for her as you have." "That doesn't mean she's ever seen me as more than a friend, or ever will," I murmured. "Convince her otherwise." I faced my brother and stared into his eyes. "What are you suggesting I do, Brix?" "Leave." "Leave?" "Right. You seem to forget I just rescued her from a possible kidnapping. Until they catch the people who abducted her, it's my responsibility to keep her safe." 48 hours ago, Bo had received a call from Daph saying she was in New York City and in danger. I was with Bo at the time and volunteered to go and find her.
2. Daphne. The tension reverberating off Crewe's body was almost palpable. If he'd pressed to know why I was crying earlier, I would have had to admit his reluctance to touch me was one reason. Crewe and I had always been close. God, we'd known each other since we were teenagers. He'd never hesitated to hug me, rub my shoulders, nudge me with his elbow, or even curl up under a blanket with me when we watched a movie. Why had that changed all of a sudden? Was it because I wasn't with Beau anymore and Crewe didn't want to give me the wrong idea? Did he think I was so desperate for companionship that I'd expect him to pick up where my other boyfriend had left off? Did Crewe, who I believe knew me better than just about anyone else, think I was the kind of girl who was afraid of being single? That I always had to have a boyfriend? Another reason for my tears was Brix's comment. I hated that everyone, not just Crewe, thought I was devastated by Beau's relationship with Sam. It wasn't that I didn't care. In fact, I was happy for them. Finally, the thing weighing heaviest on my mind was what I would do with the rest of my life. That worry wasn't new. 2 weeks ago, I'd turned 26, the same age my mum was when I was born. I'd gone to university, graduated, and went on to get my master's in viticulture and enology from UC Davis, but had done nothing with it. No doubt my parents hoped I'd return to Australia and work for them, but they were well aware I didn't want to. I loved them, but they didn't own a winery. Instead, it was one of the largest privately held global winemaking and distribution businesses in the world. An MBA would have served me far better if that had been the kind of work I wanted to do. The problem was, no one wanted to hire me. Or, that's what I believed. I hadn't looked for a job, either here, on the Central Coast, or in Napa or Sonoma, because I knew the kind of work I wanted didn't exist. The only way I could make wine for a small vintner was if I purchased vineyard property myself. Even then, I'd have to hire someone to help me for the first 5 years at least. I sighed, rested my head against the sofa, and closed my eyes. "What?" Crewe asked. I opened one and glanced at him. What? The sigh. "I'm hungry." It wasn't a lie, but it was misleading. I was starving for life, not food. "So, What?" I said, like he had, sitting up. "Brix and Addie invited us over for dinner tonight." "And?" "Do you want to go?" I shrugged. "Sure, if you do." Maybe Brix would know of a vineyard owner in search of an apprentice winemaker. "Can you wait that long?" I studied him. "To ask about a job?" Crewe's forehead furrowed. "I was talking about eating since you said you're hungry. I didn't know you were looking for a job." "Do you think—" "What?" I repeated. "Are you planning on staying here?" If by here you mean at Seahorse, then no. If you mean on the Central Coast, it depends on whether I can find something to do with myself. "I thought after—" "Bloody hell, Crewe. Finish your sentences." "What you went through. I wondered if you'd want to return to Australia." I raised a brow. "You do remember the guy I was with was an Aussie, right?" It was stupid of me to think I'd be safe with a stranger, regardless of where he was from. When I thought about what could have happened to me, I shuddered. "Dav." "Sorry, what were you saying?" "Nothing. It was you who said you wanted to talk to Brix about a job." Seems time I got one, doesn't it? I rested against the sofa again and shut my eyes. "What kind of work do you want to do?" I opened one like I had before and sighed again. The kind I doubt exists. At least how I want to do it. Crewe turned his body toward me. "Winemaking." I know I sound like a spoiled ankle biter, but I want to make my own.
Interesting.
You're probably going to suggest I purchase a vineyard, but I've looked, and there are none I'd want to take on.
That's not what I had in mind.
"Do you know someone who's looking?" I asked. Crew nodded. Loose cab. Very funny. Are you telling me you're leaving? Not me, Briggs. My eyes opened wide. Why? He and Addie want to live in Mexico. They're building a house on the property Uncle Tris gave them as a wedding gift. I don't see Briggs giving up winemaking. I didn't either, but he's set on it.